Welcome back to another Genius Days. I'm one of your hosts, Sumedh Chatterjee. I'm a flow state coach. I help you feel better and perform better. On the other side, we have Ryan G. He's data aligned consultant, and we have a personal reality coach, Ivan Alejandro Acosta. Today, we're talking about a recap of Ivan's event, which is the fire of confidence. And we're specifically going to talk about core confidence today and how to reclaim your core confidence. One of the things that was interesting to me in the event that came up for me was the fact that we've got to accept our flaws or change our flaws. Now, a lot of the times in my life, I've noticed that there's a definite embracing of the flaws that changes and transforms your character. Just like how Batman is afraid of bats, but then he ends up being the Batman. There is a specific aspect where you fear the shadow part of you, but you end up owning it and it ends up empowering you along the path. And I think that the aspect of core confidence is understanding that it comes from within, because arrogance is also external and insecurity is also external, but core confidence is internal. So when we start to understand that we have an internal validation system, that we're giving ourselves blue verification marks from within, then it really starts to get the ball rolling in terms of our confidence. The word con man, right, was meant confidence man to begin with. If you guys have heard of this. So basically there was a guy who came around like, hey, I have a watch. And can you hold on to it for me till tomorrow? I'm confident that he will, right? And so he doesn't show up the next day. So that was originally meant to mean con man, is confidence man. So to understand that sometimes people can use this fake confidence, but the real question here is, are you gold or are you gold plated? If you're gold plated, you might be showing your shiny toys and objects into the world. You might be saying that, hey, look, I have all of these things. It could be that you're compensating for something, right? Or there's a specific aura that is eternal, that is your truth, that is your virtues, that emanates from your core. So yeah, what's coming up for you guys?
Nothing, Alejandro? All right. What's coming up for me is how do you own your shadow scripts? That's the first logical question. Now, for me personally, everything would be martial arts related. If I fear someone, it would be the same as being angry as him at him, which means he owns me. And the only way I can overcome it or him is to challenge him every chance I get. And it's the same with sales. The only way you become confident in sales is by challenging the flaws you have in sales and by doing what you need to do within the sales process, following each and every step. With the almost an overconfidence or an unjustified confidence or confidence without any basis, if through some miracle it will work out, or at the very least, you have a clear essence on what you can do better. Now, passing the question directly back to you again, Scripps. How would you own your shadow?
Very good question, man. So the way I define shadow is anything that's hidden, anything that we aren't accepting within ourselves, that we've resisted or we haven't processed yet. So your shadows aren't necessarily bad things,
Mm-hmm.
because shadows can also be your hidden talents that you haven't explored before, your hidden gifts that you haven't explored before. So this idea of your shadows can actually have negativity, positivity, potential. There's potential in your shadow. We got Nick Gnosis here, top hypnosis
What
expert.
up?
What's happening, brother? So in terms of owning your shadows, I think it's about exploring your own hidden agendas, your own secrets, the things that trigger you, When you see somebody else and you're like, man, I don't like that person. There's something about them that just annoys me. That's how you can own it, is by recognizing that. So I think that where you get upset, where you get triggered, where you get reactive, that's the place where we can own our shadows by, first of all, recognizing what that is. Does that make sense, Ryan?
Yes.
Something's coming up for me. Couple things. One is I asked, I was getting, I was hanging out with the missionaries from church, and a long time, and many months, and they finally asked, Joe, we've been hanging out a long time, do you want to get baptized? And I'm like, well, what's the upside? I go, what's the upside? And they said, well, we could I go, what's the downside? They go, none, just keep doing what you're doing, come to church and just learn about God and read the scriptures. And I go, well, what's the upside? They go, we could possibly spend eternity in the presence of Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ in the celestial kingdom. I'm like, okay, that sounded pretty good. I'm like, that sounds pretty good. I'm like, wait, will the church accept me with my twisted sense of humor, my dark side, my shadow? And there was a long pause, and one of the elders goes, it's a gift from God. And I thought that was a truly inspired answer. And I ended up getting baptized and all that. So, our shadow, God made us with both, our light side and our dark side. It's, we are perfect, whole, and complete, and it's part of our nature. And our dark side is, it's a gift, as long as we integrate it with the light as well. The other thing, maybe I should pause there. I'll tell you the other one that came up in a minute, but what comes up for you guys as I share that?
Yeah, I think it definitely can be a gift. And yeah, what's coming up for me in terms of that is when we recognize that our shadow is basically an aspect of ourself. Like, let's say we see it in somebody else, right? We see someone who has green hair and we point out that they have green hair. Now, they're not going to react to that, obviously, because it's the truth, right? So, but when people trigger us, we resist a part of that, being like, no, that's not true. Is it, or is it partly true? Is there something there within that that we're not willing to accept in the criticism, right? And so that's kind of where I come back to in terms of the shadow work, is always putting the spotlight on my triggers and being like, what is there underneath this? What's the problem underneath the problem?
I think for me, I was feeling shame about my twisted sense of humor, and I'm like, will the church accept me? Will God accept me with my twisted sense of humor? And they're like, it's a gift from God. God loves everybody. God loves all of his children, with our good side and our bad side. So I think it's really powerful. The other thing that came up for me is we're talking about confidence and arrogance. And I asked one of my mentors, a guy named Alan Weiss, I go, what's the difference between confidence and arrogance? And he said, confidence is the honest to God belief that I can do what I say I'm going to do. It's the honest to God belief that I can deliver with, fidelity. With confidence means with fidelity, with like high fidelity. So it's the same word. So he says, arrogance is the honest to God belief that I can't learn anything from you. And so arrogance is this thing where, like, it's very egoic. It's like, it's all about me. I have all the answers, and you're nothing but a piece of shit. And it's a very diminishing of others energy. And so the opposite of arrogance is humility, and the definition of that I learned a couple of years ago is humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking more of others. And so confidence, I think, is this ability to walk through the world and know we can, like, do our thing and impact others and keep our word and that kind of thing. And humility is as we know that we can contribute in a massive way to others, humility also recognizes that others have a massive amount of value too, and they can contribute to us and others. And that's, I think that's the big trap, is when the ego gets in the way, and it diminishes others. That's when we start getting into trouble with the shadow, because, you know, like, okay, well, God, accept me with my twisted sense of humor. Yes, as long as I'm not like using it in a way that's karmically damaging to others, then, you know, like, it's one thing to have the thoughts, and it's the other thing to like not be sensitive, like, of the harm that we cause.
Yeah. And I think that it does become a paradox, the whole ego equation, right? Because if someone is like, hey, you're arrogant, and you start reacting to that, like, no, I'm not arrogant. Well, I think it starts to become the fact that, okay, a really arrogant person would call someone arrogant, you know what I mean? So it's like, it goes against that. Like, the mentality is like, okay, if I was confident, I wouldn't even react to that. You know, that's just something that someone said, is just words, right? It's just, if 10 people call you arrogant, okay, that's like, that's their opinion. But if 100, everybody's calling you arrogant, then that's a problem to zoom into, is what I'm saying. Like, you know, sometimes people have an idea that just because you're breaking the norm, or just because you're doing something different, that you're cocky, or you're arrogant, or you're full of yourself, right? And I think that's a very big thing to really start to explore, because what really is that pure arrogance? And I liked your definition, Joe, in terms of how you stop learning, right? Arrogance is you just stop learning. You're like, I'm no more a student of life. I'm the king on the hill, and everybody else is below me. However, I think real confidence is being like, hey, I can still learn. I can still have mastery in my life and attain self-mastery. And I think that that's where that core confidence kicks in, where you're not, it's that intrinsic motivation, you know, where you're doing stuff to install behaviors rather than having and doing, but it's the beingness. So yeah, that's what's coming up for me.
And you know, I think this idea of full of yourself, like a fullness, is nothing wrong, as long as you have that fullness, but you're not emptying everyone else, because I'm full and you're empty. Like, it's okay to be full, as long as I also recognize that Sumedh is full, and Ryan's full, and Ryan's full, and everybody's full. Ivan's full. And so fullness, full of yourself. Okay, even that, you know, if are you full, are you just full, are you perfect? You know, I'm a child of God, I'm perfect, whole, and complete. God doesn't make junk. Okay, I am full, I'm complete with that, and I recognize your fullness too. That's healthy. But when I'm like, I'm full and you're empty, there's something really unhealthy about that. And so it, you know, it's one thing to kind of think it, but when we impose it on others and we make people feel bad because of that, then that's dark. So there's a difference between like recognizing that I have shadow thoughts, and then when we have shadow behaviors that are harmful, that's when we cross the line. It's like, I have a shadow, I embrace the shadow, it's part of who I am. You know, I have this twisted sense of humor. That's real. Okay, now what do I do with it? Do I use it as an excuse to rationalize harming others? That's going dark. That's not, you know, it's one thing to know I have dark and embrace the dark, but if I actually like live the dark and I'm harmful, then I think that's where we cross the line into something that's like super unhealthy.
Right. And I like what you said there in terms of like being fully, like being full, right? Being fully filled. Are you fulfilled? And then we use that word. Ivan, you're going to say something, brother. What's happening?
Oh yeah, I was gonna raise my hand, but thanks. So what we have to acknowledge is that we've been giving the language of slaves, right? This is slave language, and one of these ways in which they do this to us is they we have very powerful words, things that mean a lot to us, and they give us a definition of it instead, a degrading definition. And so this word that I'm going to bring up right now, that's the word ego. And people have been attacking this for such a long time. They've been attacking the ego for such a long time. And oh, you have a big ego. Oh, you shouldn't have an ego. That's sort of the idea behind it, is that, that guy wrote a book called Ego is the Enemy, which, by the way, I read. I didn't think it was very good. It wasn't engaging. I don't know. It just didn't seem. This is all I heard the whole time was blabber jabber, bro. And I was like, yep, this isn't it, right? And see, the problem is that the ego is your decision maker, right? Your ego is your ego identity, right? Everybody who was here at the event yesterday, which Ryan Khan pulled up at the end of the event. I don't know. He was trying to log in at the end of the event. He's gonna get the recording though, right? But so we went through all the identities of each part of our body contains its own specific identity, right? And so through our breath, right, that's where we connect to our ego identity, right? Our ability to have our free will, our ability to make our decisions, our ability to have autonomy, right? To be able to take care of yourself fully, right? The idea of being an individual, right? That has to do with your ego, because ego is what separates you from everybody else. And it's weird. We're sort of in a world right now where they want to merge everybody into one, and like we sort of have to figure out everybody's problems, because somehow it's our problem now, and we're supposed to figure out why some kids are dying over here, and some fires are over here, and the war over here, and someone's hungry over here. And now, that's such a nice thing to try to imagine, it's a nice thing to try to imagine, like you can try to heal everyone in the whole world, but really we can't. The world is so big, 8 billion people. That's just so difficult to conceptualize for the human mind that we can't even picture how many standing up monkeys that is, right? So we cannot be, we're trying to unify us, and instead I'm saying get into your groups, get into your tribes, into small tribes, right? Because there is where you can really do some real work, right? If you poured all your money and your resources into something, could you drastically change it? Could you change it big time? If the answer is no, even if I poured all of my resources onto this, it would just drain and it would suck it like a vacuum. Then no, don't even put your resources there. Like, you help your communities, help the people around you, help your families, help your tribes. That's what we have to do, right? And because in your own tribe, you get checked. They're gonna check you, right? They're gonna make sure that you are who you say you are, right? All the time, right? In this other world, people can't check you, right? Somebody in Guatemala can't check me right now. Like, they can't be like, oh, like, yo, Ivan, whatever you did, push-ups or whatever. Like, they can't. They're not there. They're just not here. They're not here to tell me what it is that I'm doing, right? So we can't possibly really care about everyone in the whole entire world. And we do have to acknowledge our individuality as your individual collective and your individual self, right? Because the individual collective, individual self, right? That's what I wanted to say for right now.
That was awesome, man. I'm glad you brought up the whole war on ego, like kill your ego thing, because in the spiritual community, they just they go off on the ego, man. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate you bringing that up, brother. And I think the problem becomes when the ego becomes like the person driving the car, right? When the identity becomes like, okay, this is the thing that's preserving me, and it's the driving force that's pulling me forward, and it's keeping me in my comfort zone, and it's creating this container around me that it's only about me, and then it disconnects us from others. I think that's when it becomes the problem. The thing I'm saying is the ego is nice, man. It's like you got to have a healthy one. It's like the cherry on top of the cake. You know, it adds flavor to life. So to be able to amputate it, we're amputating our decision maker, like you said, man. It's like it's ridiculous. So yeah, individual and collective society got to understand that we've been obsessed with the individual for a while, and we've also been obsessed with society. And it's also about East and West merging, and gaining that global perspective as well. But you're right. It's like people want to clump us into one big ball of like you know sameness, but it's also same but different. And this is where the paradox comes in, man. So like you said, Ivan, in your lecture yesterday, you were saying that, in the laws of the jungle, the ego is the one that is actually the driving force, right? Um, like a gorilla is purely going off of that ego, right? Um, where it's based on that survival mechanism, where it's trying to do its thing. But yeah, in the same time, just being able to understand that there is the super ego. It's the like, the thing that's like, oh wait, hold on, you can't do that, right? And then there's the id, which is like the desire, the primal desire. So yeah, being able to understand that, okay, it's the passenger, it's not the driver, right? It's just the ego's in the back, ego's in the back. Okay.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people, they let their ego be the driver.
Yeah.
Okay. This is, I like what you said, the ego's the cherry on top. It's about having that self reference that I am important. It's very easy, if we kill the ego entirely, it's like I am not important. Okay. In philosophy class, one of the one of the things we learned is the egocentric predicament is basically this illusion that the world centers around me. I am the center of my universe. And so it's very easy to distort that into thinking I am the center of the universe. Okay. And that's where it gets unhealthy. And that our natural state is we see the world, we perceive the world through our eyes, through our ears, through our perceptions. And we think that is, my truth, your truth, the truth. It's real easy to confuse that my truth is the truth, and it's not. It's just like, it's straight up, it's not. And, our nature is to be selfish. Our nature is to take care of myself, me. Let's talk for 3 hours. Okay, I'm going to talk to you for 3 hours about me. And now that I've talked 3 hours about me, it's your turn to talk. What do you think about me? Okay. and so, the basic Christian philosophy is, the lawyer talks to Jesus and says, there's all these commandments. Nobody can get to heaven. And Christ says, basically, there's only two rules: love God and love your fellow man. In other words, love God and set your ego aside enough to actually care about the other egos, the other people, the other creatures. Like the other creatures, the other creations of God are important. You're not the only important one. And the ego, the danger of the ego and the egocentric predicament is to think I am the only person that matters. And that selfishness is the opposite of spirituality. It's the opposite. And true spirituality is to recognize there is source and there are others. Like that's where we need to kind of bitch slap the ego and say, step aside, stop thinking about me. Like my mentor, Jay Abraham, gets into flow and cash flow and blessings flow. Is the most selfish thing you can do is be selfless. Because when I contribute to Sumedh, when I contribute to Ryan, when I contribute to others, like I'm setting my ego aside to be valuable to others, you know, and it's like in caring about others, we are opening up the whole world of, you know, one of the scriptures is he who is in service of his fellow man is in service to the Lord. When you're actually like caring about others, when you can set your ego aside enough to actually care about others, that is spiritual, godly kind of behavior. And so I love what you said about like, is the ego 99? Are you living like 99% ego and 1% giving a shit about others? Or are you like 99% caring about others and you've got that 1% cherry on top? I think that's the shift that to really walk into a spiritual space. Is this coming up? Is anything coming up for others on this?
Yeah, I'd like to share something about that real quick, which, you know, for a very long time, I was really thinking in terms of, you know, I have to kill my ego. I have to do this and do that. And it's funny because I watched a movie, and in the movie, the guy, he was explaining a situation that happened and how he reacted to it. And at the end, he said, "It ain't ego. That's how we go." And just hearing that, it just kind of freed me a little bit. You know, it just showed me that, you know, at the end of the day, I had to stop worrying about, you know, whether I'm being like, whether I'm feeding my ego or not. But it's just like, I just be the kind of person I want to be, and I just go for it. You know, I just do, like, you know, I want to operate a certain way, and I just operate that way. You know, forget the ego. Like I just stopped thinking about it. You know, if someone says, "Oh man, you have such a big ego," I'm just gonna say, "Hey, it ain't ego. That's how I go." You know, and it makes sense because, you know, I mean, it's my life. I set my own rules and I go for it. You know, I think if somebody wants to be like, I mean, obviously not everybody is consciously thinking I have to be selfish. I have to be selfish, you know, but I think those things like ego and stuff like that, I think it's something that other people put on us so we can, you know, start, you know, criticize ourselves and our actions. When personally, you know, I really don't care about that anymore. Someone say, "Oh, Rick, you think you have a big ego?" Whatever. That's how I go. That's how we go. You know, so it's my life. It's my rules. I set them. You know, if you don't like the way I act, you can get the fuck away from me, you know? So if you're trying to bring the whole ego shit on me, you're just trying to have me go inside and fuck up myself again. But again, just hearing that in a movie was really, really freed like my mind in that aspect. So I just wanted to share that real quick.
Rick, can I?
What was that, Rick?
Excuse me?
What movie was that, brother?
Oh, it's actually a comedy movie. It's Black Dynamite. It's a scene when the pimp was talking about how he got rid of some girl because she kept looking at other guys, and then he told the guy, he was like, "Yeah, real pimping," and he said, "It ain't ego. That's how we go."
Yeah.
So Rick, if I challenge you a little bit,
Go ahead, challenge me.
because you're talking about like what I want to do, you know. The question is how do others fit in with how Rick lives his life?
It doesn't matter because I'm not a bad guy. It doesn't matter. I'm not out here, you know, thinking that I have to hurt people or, you know, do bad things. I'm just here living my life the way I want. So the only person that can have a problem with it is somebody else, whoever that may be. So the whole ego thing, I'm not even thinking like that. It's somebody else that puts that on me. That's what I'm trying to say.
So where do others fit in terms of, you know, there's this idea of I don't harm others. How are you blessing others? Or how are you making other people's lives better?
Man, do I have to? That's my question. Do I need to? Who says I need to do that?
You don't have to. You don't have to. It's
exactly.
A choice. That's what's called free agency.
Exactly. But I still do it. You know, I've done things for people.
Good.
I'm a good guy. I've done exactly. But I'm not thinking like always, you know, how can I like do things? No, when it comes up, it comes up. But, you know, I'm not out here like trying to see all the time where everybody fit in it. Nobody has to fit in it. The people that fit in it will fit in it. Simple.
You mind if I connect with to what I was saying about the tribes coming back? Like we're accountable to our tribe. So I know Rick, he's a part of IMC, right? So he stays accountable to the tribe and he provides for the tribe. He does good for the tribe. He respects the people in the tribe, right? But if you're not a part of IMC, he can't treat you the same way, right? And that's sort of what it's saying, and what we sort of it I don't know, I think it goes past the idea of even feeling it, where it just sort of seems like we're expected to take care of everyone in the whole world, right? And we can't. It's very difficult to do. Now, ideally, there isn't a part of me that says, but you know what? I think, with the technology and this and this and that, we can have all the people. It's just the not everyone's consciousness is there yet, right? And so, like I said, I was taught the golden rule as a kid, and treat others the way you want to be treated. That only works with the people that are a part of your tribe. Like if you they understand the similar rules, right? But like I've still been robbed, I've still been cheated on, I've still been lied to, I've still been punched, kicked, even though they say treat others the way you want to be treated. So I realized it doesn't really happen like that. It's a little bit ideal, and yeah, like you said, Rick, it was put on us, right? That's why I say it's the language of slaves. And that's sort of the thing put on us.
Right, I do. You're part of an I am tribe, okay? And if you're not part of that tribe, you're not one of us. But aren't we all part of a global tribe?
I would say, yeah, there's the global tribe. Yes.
Right. Yes, but you are part of that tribe. So, so like compassion and caring, compassion and caring doesn't mean you have to buy everybody dinner, 8 billion people. You don't have to buy everybody dinner. But it's just, just actually having a space in your mind, your heart, your soul, and your gut to actually care. Doesn't mean you have to like fix everybody's problems, but caring doesn't necessarily require action. I mean, there is a difference between caring and demonstration of caring, and we don't have to like demonstrate caring, like, oh my God, all these people in Somalia are getting killed. I need to like jump on a plane and like stop the killing. Like that's not even practical. Okay. So, so I want you to acknowledge that, we're not just part of an IMC tribe, we're part of a global tribe. And we do have a responsibility to the tribe to at least recognize I am a member, and and at some level I should be a participant.
Let me chime in real quick, Joe. I agree with you to a certain extent. I do believe we should be good men. But there's a famous idiom, whatever it's called in English. He who is everyone's friend has none. And that's the danger. And that's a very dangerous line to cross. And it's in finding the balance between who belongs to my tribe and who is not, is where this discussion tends to lead. Now, the original subject has a lot to do with reclaiming the core confidence. Now, this is my opinion. Nick Gnosis says, James 4:4, if you want to be a friend of the world, you make yourself an enemy of God. Powerful. I did not expect Christianity to play a big part in your life, Nick Gnosis, but a fair point. I cannot be everyone's friend. If I go out into the martial arts world and I want to be just friends, I'm going to be slaughtered. If I go out in the dating world and I just want to be friends, I'm going to get slaughtered. And it's in the way of behavior and in the outcome of what I desire that I either create a compromise, which is something that I don't want, or I create a win-win situation, which is something more desirable. And at the very least, a win for me. And that's where the ego comes into play. And in my opinion, this also has a lot to do with a discussion I had years back on humility. Only those who have earned humility are allowed to be humiliated, to be of passive character, because they can back it up. Those who are weak are simply harmless and pose no threat and tend to be bullied. If you have no confidence in, let's say, the fighting arts, you're gonna be a punchback. I remember the first 5 months at BJJ, I had absolutely no confidence, and I still kind of don't, in my grappling skills. I was bodied left, right, and center. And it was treated as such because that's the game until I become extremely confident and I give, what has been given back. Anyone free to discuss that? Rick, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the thing about the world tribe, which I just wanted to point out, although there is a world tribe and there is an IMC tribe, not everybody in the tribe will get the same level of respect. So, that in the world tribes, we have pedophiles, we have people that kill people, that do bad things. Am I supposed to have compassion for them too? No, absolutely not. Even in a very close, like tight tribe, not everybody deserves the same respect, because not everybody pays their dues in that tribe, or do the things that needs to be done, or not everybody is putting in the same amount of work. So I'm not going to treat everybody the same, and even in a tight, closest tribe, the same way I'm not going to treat everybody the same in the world. But I will have respect for the people that I've seen earn my respect, and in my tribe and the IMC tribe or whatever, and also in the world tribe. There are people outside of my IMC I have tremendous amount of respect for, so it's like that for me. It's, whoever earned my respect, the same way some people, they probably don't respect me or whatever, but that's on them. Well, what am I going to do about it? I can't control that. But just wanted to point that out real quick.
Joel Bauer, I was at a Joel Bauer seminar. He's like, I love everyone because I'm commanded to, but I don't like everyone. Okay. And we even need to put, what happens when your child steals that candy bar?
You punch him.
Do we stop loving our child? So, I love you. We need to put love and hate in the same sentence. I love you, but I hate that bad behavior. That was a disrespectful behavior. So we don't banish our child because they stole the candy bar. We need to put love and hate in the same sentence. I love you as a person, but I don't like those behaviors, and that's not acceptable, and I, the idea is love God's all of his children, including an Adolf Hitler. He just doesn't like his behaviors because they're despicable. Okay. So a parent loves all of his children, even though the children don't always behave. And so this idea of love and having compassion for everyone, no matter how bad their behaviors, I love you, but the shit you're doing, that don't jive with me. Okay. So we still, I think the thing is we just need to maintain that seed of compassion, like no matter what somebody's going through, no matter what their battles are. That pedophile, it's like, you're still a brother, or you're still a brother or sister. I love you as a human being, but man, the shit you're doing, it's wrong. Okay. And so there's that part of us that wants to shoot that pedophile, and where we lose that little seed of compassion. And then the question is, are humans rehabilitatable? Are people rehabilitatable, or can they be rehabbed? And that's where faith comes in. So this idea of loving everybody, but I don't have to like what you're doing, and I don't have to participate in what you're doing. And all this, I think, needs to, come back to the core conversation of confidence, that like, I'm important and you're important, and we're all important, the Pledge of Allegiance, the first word is I, and the last word is all, and so we are a collective, all of us, but that collective, all of us, is made of individuals, and I am an individual, but I can't neglect the fact that I, as an individual, am part of the collective. I am part of the global collective, or the IMC collective, or the church collective, or the the board of realtors collective, or the Genius Days collective.
Genius Days. This is awesome, man. This conversation has gone so many different angles, and I love the different perspectives. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Something that just came up for me is this idea of, well, we've got to go through breaking our identity down if we really want to change ourselves. I've always had this thing in my mind that, I'm not confident yet. right? It's like this feeling of doing and having and then being, whereas it's the being and then the doing and the having, right? So we oftentimes we push it to the side and we're like, I'll be happy when, right? But it's I am happy then. We need to flip that frame and be able to truly like embody that understanding that, yeah, sometimes we do go through ego death to have a to break the identity down in order for us to construct the identity how we want it, right? Like cold showers is an ego death moment, or like, you know, plunging into an ice bath, like, you know, Wim Hof, or like, you know, going in these flotation tanks. All of those ego death moments are there to like shut down the inner voice so we can make our decisions from that place of surrender or that place of awareness or neutrality, right? I wanted to ask Nick Gnosis actually, in terms of your, you know, hypnosis background, and like, you know, you helped many people transform their states of mind, their identities from, you know, low to flow, or to, you know, from a different state to another state. In terms of a confidence hypnosis, like, what are some of the things that you would take people through in terms of really expanding their confidence, man? Interested to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sumedh. And I hope my room's not too echoey here. I just moved in, don't have sound panels. So question is, what would you take somebody through to make them more confident? So the frame of the hypnotist is getting projected across to the subject, which means whatever I believe, at least in part, is going to be transmitted energetically. And I believe that everyone is confident in something. They might be confident in the fact that they're not confident. They might be confident in the fact that they are not going to be a good partner to people, or that they're not worthy of love, or whatever. So they already have a certainty in something. And you can map that across. That's one way to do it. A lot of people will say confidence is comfort. So if you're confident speaking in front of a lot of people, you have some degree of comfort. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. But if you could give me a specific example, or maybe we could generate an example. So let's say it's, I'll use that one actually, public speaking, because that's a very good one to do. It's the number one fear. There's more people afraid of public speaking than dying, which is to say most people would rather die than give their honest to God message. So in that case, if somebody wants to be confident speaking, there has to be a time when they were confident. You can use that, you can anchor that across. You can also dig into it and find out, well, why, what would it take? That's always a good question to ask, is what would it take? And people will say like, well, I have to know I'm not going to make any mistakes, or something like that, which I think is bullshit. And then you can take the beliefs one-on-one. So if someone says, I need to be perfect, I can't make any mistakes, I would say, hey, there's this thing called the pratfall effect, which says that when people make mistakes, they're actually more likable. A good example is, I wasn't there for this, but somebody told me they were giving a public speaking workshop, and the guy says, you know, here's how you warm up your jaw. Here's how you warm up your throat. He's got a jumbo Sharpie. It's actually called a Magnum Sharpie. I'm not kidding. It's the biggest Sharpie that they have. And he puts it in his mouth to like show, like, you do this for a minute to warm up your jaw. And he's taking it out. He draws a line across the side of his fucking face, big ass black line, and puts it out. And then he, you know, he's delivering. He just keeps going. He's unaware that there's a line on his face. And the result of this is counterintuitive. That at the end of that discussion, he went to pitch his coaching and, you know, confidence workshops. And people bought everything he sold. They bought it right up because they wanted to be that person who could just not care, who could make the mistake, or who could look stupid and just keep going. So that's an example of how you would take the charge out of a belief, or, you know, something else like that. A time when somebody slips and falls, and you go to help them, you don't think any less of them. So it's a long-winded answer, but you kind of could think of a belief as like a table, and there's legs supporting it. And if you take out the legs of the table, then that belief will crash down. So if they think they have to be perfect, or if they think that you know, they have to be likable, or this or that, you take out the supporting pillars, or the energy behind the belief, And it's like a wart that doesn't have a blood supply, it just falls off and dies. And that's how I would handle the belief. Did that answer your question?
Totally, man.
I love that, Nick, and I want to riff off of it a little bit because I did a lot of public speaking and I had those fears. And one of the things that I recognize is when you're speaking, you know, we all get those butterflies, you know, like, what are they thinking of me? Is there something on my face? Is my hair straight? And it's when we're thinking about ourselves, that's where the actual fear of public speaking comes in. But if we can stop thinking about, like, what are they thinking about me? And we can get out of our head and almost think that, like, my message is a gift and it's out here. I'm sharing this gift with you and it's not about me at all. Like, when we can actually set our ego aside and just focus on, I have a message, I'm sharing that message with you. It's for your benefit. When I put all the energy into the gift, all of a sudden, it's like, that's how you teach those butterflies to fly in formation. Because yeah, I have butterflies, but I'm putting all that energy into the fact that I'm sharing something and giving something to you, and it's no longer about me. So there's no more room for that stage fright or that uncomfortableness, because I'm turning that into a passion of the gift. So it's like, because I'm able to, like, actually set the ego aside and actually care about others and give to others, and it's all about impacting others, it's not about me at all. That's when the stage fright goes away. What's your take on that, Nick?
Yeah, there's two really good things in there. So, you know, people are usually motivated towards or motivated away. So, like, you could be, example is, if I want to make more money, I could be motivated towards having the money and possessions and power, or it could be motivated away from, like, oh, I don't want to have to live, you know, hand to mouth. So when it comes to public speaking, a really good one you have there on that note is, like, I'll tell people sometimes, you're being selfish. You have this gift, you have this ability, you have this message, and you're not sharing it because you're scared that you're going to look bad or that people aren't going to like it. You're withholding a gift. You have the ability to heal people, to help people, to impact people, and you're not sharing that. You're being selfish. And so I'll tell this to people sometimes, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but it gets them to think a little bit and then realize, like, it's not about you. Nobody gives a shit. No one's looking at the pimple on your face. Nobody cares. They want to know what's in it for them. So that's one. And then the other one is the common reframe that I'll do is that you ask the question, what's the difference between anxiety and excitement when you go to speak, when you go to deliver a message? Well, physiologically, they're almost identical. Your heart rate elevates. Maybe you have a little, you know, sweat on your palms. And I'll ask, have you ever been on a roller coaster? Have you ever been on a water slide? Did you want that to be boring and predictable? No, you got a little nervous, you got a little excited. You ever been on a date? Have you ever loved someone so much that it fucking hurt? When you remember that first date, you were nervous. And she didn't like you any less. She actually thought it was cute. You were relatable. That's another thing that I'll bring out there is relatability, is that if you're perfect and you're like a robot, you know, that we teach you to take out, like, the ums and the uhs and speaking and all that. But if you overdo it too much and you just sound like a robot, then it's not relatable. People don't relate to perfect. They don't have that experience. Nobody does. So that's some of the thoughts that comes to mind for me, Joe, when you bring that up. And I like the butterflies flying in formation. Yeah, transmuting that sensation, that bodily sensation, into energy, fuel. You're gonna burn it up like a fucking coal to make the engine move forward. That's how I think of it.
You know, this is great. And there's something I want to just, you know, we don't have to care about others, but when we do, there's a word for it. It's called leadership. We don't, you know, we can say, I don't give a fuck what other people do.
Can't lead everyone, man. You can't lead everyone.
No, but you can be
only lead your tribe.
No, it's not about leading others. It's about showing up as a leader. Okay. If I don't give a fuck about anybody, there's nothing in that says leadership at all. But when I actually care, when I show up and care about others, that makes me, by definition, a leader.
No, it makes you a carer, not a leader. It makes you a carer.
If you don't care about others, you are not qualified to be a leader. I'm sorry. That's just straight up.
But I'm just saying it doesn't make you a leader directly just because you care about people. It makes you
very
important. That's all it means. You're mixing two different things, Joe. Everyone here is seeing it. You're mixing two different things.
Sumedh, you got anything on this?
Being a leader and caring about others. I think there's definitely a difference between being a boss and a leader. I think that being a boss, you're basically you're taking people up the mountain, right? You're pushing them up the mountain, whereas a leader is like you're actually, that's a really interesting question, because the thing is that the leader, it's in context, right? Because yeah, the leader of the tribe, it depends on what tribe you're a part of. So if leadership is what we're going for, then it's really about what we're leading them to from A to B, right? So it's really about the outcome of the leadership in terms of like where are you leading them, right? Someone could lean someone off a cliff. That doesn't make them a leader, right? So yeah, it's really about the outcome and the context, I think, in terms of leadership.
Yeah, you can lead yourself without a tribe, but there is no tribe without a leader, and there is no leader without a tribe. And if you really want to be a leader, there typically are others involved, and you can be the righteous leader or you can be the tyrannical leader. Okay, but the tyrannical leader isn't really a leader. He's doing things by force and by compulsion. Whereas, if somebody, like, I choose to follow you because I'm aligned with you and you actually do care about me. But if I get a sense that I'm following you, you don't give a shit about me, I ain't following you no more. Like there's no way.
Joe, I agree to you to the certain extent, but Remus B has his hand up. Remus, I would like to hear what you have to say.
Yes.
Hey, thanks. So I wanted to say, I get what Joe is saying, and Ivan. I believe Joe's saying one of the traits that a leader could have is that he cares for the people that are following him.
Yeah.
But Ivan is saying just because you care about someone doesn't give you the qualities of a leader. I disagree. I disagree that someone wouldn't follow a person if I believe a person could still follow a leader regardless if they like him or not, if they believe that the leader cares for them or not. Because when you're being led by someone, you're thinking about yourself. You're thinking, if they lead me, I'll be in a better position. For that person to be for that person to have the capability to make you in a better position, they don't actually need to care about you. They need the quality of bravery. They need courageousness. They need intellect, the ability to guide. So I think about Julius Caesar crossing the river, right? He was with his army and he had to make a decision at one point. And he had to say, he wasn't supposed to cross a certain river, but he needed to do it for his own personal mission, right? And for what he believed in. And he stopped at the river and his army was waiting for him to give the signal, are we going or are we not? Because they knew that if he goes over the river, that means a civil war is going to happen. Now, of course, he cares about his army. He cares about the people that he believes he's doing that action for. But it wasn't his caring that made him able to cross the Rhine and say, I'm going to declare war on Pompey and Marcus Crassus, and we're going to have a civil war. That's not caring. That's the quality of leadership. That's confidence. That's the ability and the confidence to know when I cross that river, I know I can get my people on the other side. I know that when we go to war, I'll win. I think that's a whole nother level than just caring. And if one of the followers for Julius Caesar didn't care, if he saw his survival in Julius Caesar, he's still going to go with him. He's going to submit to the leadership. But I do believe if he does think that the leader cares, he's more likely to be loyal, which is why Napoleon Bonaparte would talk to his soldiers and say, he would actually ask the low-level soldiers, hey, how you doing, Joe? He would say their name. And of course, you're a low-level soldier and Napoleon's remembering your name. You're like, damn, I'm willing to die for this guy. He's asking, how my family, how is my wife and children? The emperor cares about my wife and children. So in that aspect, you could say the leader caring does make the person more likely to attach to the leadership. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, and you make up, that's a great distinction. Caring isn't leadership, but it's a necessity quality of leadership. Okay, just because you care does not make you a leader. But I think if you don't care, a lot of people are going to say, I ain't following this guy. He don't care. So like, I think it's a requirement for leadership, but it's not everything of leadership. And you're absolutely right. I want to just share that.
Awesome. Rick, if you can.
Yeah, and I agree with Joe when he says that, if a person who doesn't care cannot be a leader, and I agree 100%. But a person who cares also, just like Remus says, he put it very perfectly. Well, just because you care does not make you a leader. But if you don't care, then really you are not a leader. You have to care about something. Like, it has to be there. It doesn't have to be about people, but it has to be about something that you firmly believe in. Some of the greatest leaders in the world were dictators. They cared about something. Let's take, for example, Hitler. I don't condone anything he did, but let's give him some credit. The dude was one of the greatest leaders. For him to do those things, for the amount of people who followed him, who did not even believe in those things. A lot of the people that were following him did not even believe in him. They thought he was a joke. And yet they still followed through with everything that he put forth, And you could say, he didn't care about them, maybe, but a leader always used care, like he cared for Germany, he would say. Like, they always use caring for something as a way to guide the people, the people that are following them. And Careness needs to be there. Absolutely. It needs to be about something. It doesn't have to be about the people who follow you, but it needs to be about something. And the Careness needs to be there for you to be a leader, so people can follow you, so they can know what you care about, what you believe in, then they'll follow you. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out.
Yeah, usually it's a cause. It's a people. Yeah, it doesn't have to be about the people, but a cause, and the people align with the cause.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you for clarifying.
I would add that. Go on, Ivan. You talk.
I was gonna say that I wanted to relate everything back to confidence, as I think everything that we've talked about does relate to confidence because it relates to your navel chakra, right? But I want to kind of like, I want to circle back. I'm gonna pull a Jen, fucking the reporter. I'm gonna circle back. And so confidence it's like something you do with your whole body, right? It's an entire chakra thing, right? Because it goes from how comfortable are your hips? Are you if you're stiff in your hips, you're stiff in your mind, right? If you're tripping, if you're falling, you're not grounded, right? Your body's telling you what's going on inside your mind, right? And so it's something when we do it when it's done just like at an elite level, right? Caring the chakra, right? That your communal identity, connecting with your community and how you fit into your community, right? And then when you speak through your ability to create, and what titles do you carry as a creator, right? If you draw, you're like, I draw, that's your title. If you're a mom, you're like, I'm a mom. That's your title, right? And so what titles do you have that when the things that you create and you put into the world, right? These are your titles as a creator, and you speak through that place. That's right. And through the way we see things, through our perspective, right? That takes a play into how the world is going to perceive you. You're walking around seeing them a particular way. They're going to react to the way that you see them. They're just going to have a reaction to it, right? And then their crown. This is like your connection to something bigger than you, right? What's bigger than you? What's bigger than all of this, right? You belong there. You're a part of all that stuff. You're a part of the freaking stars and shit, you know, like that's real. Like, you know, stardust, that's you. Like organic matter, that's also you, right? Organic matter, like a carrot. You're just like a really well preserved carrot, right? But just one day, you know, even canned food expires. So Nick, I see that one hit you. How does that feel?
My guy said even canned food expires. Yeah, that's real. We took it from like the big picture down to like the little atoms in the cells now. Yeah, it reminds me of the have y'all ever seen the Full Metal Alchemist, the cartoon, the anime? Yeah, a couple of you guys, where he's being like cynical at some point. He just lists all the things. He's like potassium, salt, sodium, and he's like just basically listing the ingredients of a human. Someone's trying to say the life is sacred, and he's like, I can just make one, like get the ingredients and put it together. So I think there's a lot of different ways to look at it. But you know, I'm down to be a carrot. You know, I fuck with carrot. What did he say? We're a overdeveloped carrot. What did you say?
Or a well-preserved carrot.
The well-preserved carrot. Yeah. The real question, I'm going to spin it back to you though, is do you think that we just kind of stop being, or do you think we become something else? Like what happens when the expiration date? Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be buried in like a tree, right? And then I'm gonna be put in the roots, and then I'll become part of the roots, and I'll become part of the tree, and then people will come visit the tree, and I'll be right there, like giving people love and shit, you know.
Compost. Okay.
And so, you know, it just depends, like you know, what do you want to do when you die? Do you want to come back? Do you want to be a guide? Do you want to, you know, do you want to
we're already gods
in another dimension? You know, even my spirit guides have a life, right? They have their own life. They have their own problems, their own things that they're dealing with, right? They have their own life. So I'm only borrowing a piece of their time whenever I contact them. So, you know,
it's good stuff. I want to say I like you know, everyone's willingness to challenge some of these ideas and to the audacity to say some of these things that are, you know, that normal people aren't gonna take kindly to, and the you know, normal people, whatever the fuck that means, and the open-mindedness and the willingness to see people challenging each other, see people putting on the lenses of their fellows here to try and understand their worldview. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate that comment. Yeah. This is genius days.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it because, you know, for the work that I do, you know, as a hypnotist, it's one way to explain it is I'm in the belief business, and I can't tell other people what to believe, because I get people who believe in aliens, people who used to be in cults, people who are in Christianity, Catholic, Latter-day Saints, Hindu, people who believe in past lives, future lives, psychics, and I can't be like, oh no, that's not. Who the fuck am I to say? So for my job is like, I don't give a shit how we get them to the result. I just have to meet them at their reality, and I have to be able to put on their glasses kind of and see through their lens and take them back. So but I forget because I do this every day, but most people are walking around, they're like, they have their one pair of glasses stuck on them and they can't see, they can't focus any other lens, and it's stuck. That sucks. And it's miserable. I can't imagine it.
Facts, man.
You know, Byron Katie has something she said, she says is like, whenever you argue with the truth, you lose, but only 100% of the time. And, I think one of the challenges is you can believe anything you want. However, it may not serve you and it may not be connected to the truth. And I think one of the challenges today is we do live in a world where people think I can believe anything I want, but they believe in some pretty wacky things that don't serve themselves, and then it doesn't serve others. And so we need to challenge, like, okay, you can believe anything you want, but is it connected to the truth? Is it connected to reality? I think one of the reasons people are down on religion is there's so much wacky false religion on the earth. But when we start, getting addicted to the truth, what is the truth, and finding those things that are the truth and resonate with the truth and function as the truth, and improve the truth of our existence and our reality, when we have confidence, coming back to confidence in the truth. I made $1 million, I lost everything, but I didn't chase the money the second time. I chased the wisdom and the truth. And when you start picking up the wisdom and the truth, and then you go into a world where everybody's heard all these misconceptions and these things that don't work, and you speak the truth, it really resonates. And people are like, holy shit, finally somebody came along that's speaking something that is true and it makes sense. And I think this is really important. So, I think it's important that our confidence is lined up with the truth, because we can be very confident. Jim Rohn said, you can't confuse sincerity with, with the truth, because you can sincerely believe something and be sincerely wrong. And so, the sincerity is the heart, but the truth is like, the mind and the intellect, and in alignment with like universal principles of truth. So tying it back to confidence is, our confidence is great as long as it's in alignment with the truth. But if we're confident about some things, I meet people all the time. I'm very confident that what I'm doing in my business will work. But the problem is it's not in alignment with truth. And then their business ends up crashing in the rocks, and they have like this massive failure. So just because you're confident about something doesn't make it true. And so tying that truth piece and that wisdom piece in there is super important.
Yeah, specifically core confidence, right? Because core confidence is that ability to rest in your truth and being able to be in that energy. So we're going a bit over time. We're going to do another 5 minutes. Remus, I know you had something to say, brother. Coming back to you. Do you remember the point? I know I'm circling it back.
Yeah, I think I forgot it. Yeah, I think I forgot it. It's okay.
All good. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions for I or Ryan or Ivan, we're going to take some questions in regards to core confidence now, or just any thoughts that you guys have. What was this experience like? What was valuable?
Maybe just a takeaway from the panel on what's one thing from each of you that can help us grow in our truer confidence, in our greater confidence. That would be a good wrap up, I think.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is that someone speaking?
One thing that you could do today to be more confident is to breathe deeply into your body. I know you did it right now. I know if you smart, you did it right now and you're like, ah. Oh, nice. Okay. Ryan?
Well, funny you should say that, Alejandro, because I recently posted something very similar today. Breathing is integral to motion. So if you want to move towards more confidence, breathe towards it, move towards it. So if you have any fears, like let's say, I fear getting my ass whooped again at BJJ after almost a year of lockdown, and I'm not looking forward to it. The only way I'm gonna get better is getting my ass to the fucking gym. So move towards not necessarily what you fear, but move towards where the pain is, overcome it, and evolve. Sumedh.
Interesting. Just got my timer there. Okay, so what's coming up for me is to trust in the core of your beingness in terms of who you are, to align with something, a code, the laws of nature is what's coming up for me, just to get back to the laws of nature. I don't know what my microphone is doing right now. Very strange. Okay. Something that has been very powerful for me is to be able to take up more space in the world, right? A lot of us, we get scared and we hold ourselves like kind of, we hold our drinks like this, or we start to, man, it's doing it again. Let me just take this out. So yeah, the way that I wanted to really leave you guys with something practical is basically power posing, okay? And power posing, it has been, I mean, we all know this. Amy Cuddy has the book Presence in terms of this. Top CEOs do this. Just being able to open your body language up and being able to keep it like this for just 30 seconds in the morning and getting that sunlight in. So if you guys just want to practice this, it raises your testosterone and it lowers your cortisol, which is your stress hormones. So you can go like that. You can do the Superman pose if you want. You can do the Shah Rukh Khan pose. All right. Not a lot of you know who that is, a Bollywood star, right? But yeah, I think that just being able to be more free in your body will get you more free in your mind. And that's where the authentic confidence takes over. So let's leave it.
Can I throw in one real quick? All right, so just to end cap, yeah, NLP training operate from a physiology and psychology of excellence, which is the physiology part, exactly what y'all said. If you breathe like a winner, if you move like a winner, if you stand like a winner, if you talk, act like it. If you do that behavior, some people say being confident, what about doing confident? You know, if you do confident enough, then you can get there. You can go inside out or outside in, but I like the body first approach. This was fun, guys. Thank you.
Interesting. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's end the call here. Thank you guys for your time. Our INC brothers see you guys at the lecture, and of course to end the call. May life never be the same. This has been FAP Nation Flow Aligned Podcast with myself, Ryan G from ADS Aligned Data Strategy, Sumedh Chatterjee from Flowstone Academy, and of course, Ivan Alejandro Acosta from Life Masters. Good night.